One.
That was a long
Hello.
pause. Happy Sunday shift.
Happy Sunday shift.
You
Make
had
sure
like
you.
a you had like a pause between the one and I thought you were frozen.
I know it was a lot, but um, technology is not on my side today, but we're gonna work it out. Make sure
Yes.
you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about Sunday shift. If you want to buy us a coffee, feel free. It's in the description. Shout out to Henry, who I know is gonna love our Cody talk today. But thank you for buying us a coffee. Because we about to go in on Cody. Let's not get too far into it. Tanya, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I was telling Tracy that this weekend I binge watched all things Star Wars. So for those of you who don't know, Andor, a series that was on Disney Plus for the past month, finally ended last week. But I waited 2 days to watch because I had to work and all that kind of thing. And so I didn't start watching. So I re-watched the whole Andor series, then watched the final two episodes, then watched the next movie in the timeline and all night on Saturday, and I did not go to sleep until 2 a.m. Then I woke up at 8 a.m. this morning and started watching Star Wars again, watching the cartoon. Literally up to this very like 10 minutes before we started recording, I've been watching Star Wars cartoons. And
Amazing.
it's not gonna end. I'm gonna keep watching because there's just so much content now. You can spend your whole life, you can spend a whole weekend watching
Hmm.
content, diving deep into the details and the theories and the lore and the dates. Because I'm
Yeah.
like connecting dots and having to rewatch things and look for new clues. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a real deep dive into nerdism.
I love some extended lore. That like mm,
Yes.
getting into like
And
I
there's
love it.
this is just television. There's all
Hmm.
kinds of books about it.
Right.
People learn, there's like new what they call content, new canon being introduced via
Hmm.
video games. So it's weird to me because now there's a lot of television shows that are just based off of video games,
Right.
and people are
Hmm.
like,
Lots of us.
yeah, right. So you have to get the story right from the video game or make it
Because if
accurate.
you don't,
Ooh,
people about to tell you about it. Okay.
right.
If
So
you people think soap
Disney,
fans are rough. Ain't nobody rough
oh,
for the video game fans,
or just
baby.
or nerd Star Wars fans. Oh my God. Marvel and Star Wars folks. And those are infiltrated by a bunch of,
Red
bros
pill
who
bros,
do,
right?
who do
Because
not like.
I'm always like with Star Wars when I see like somebody like super red pilled or super like right wing. I'm like, who do you root for here? Because you are
Right.
definitely the Empire. Like this
Exactly.
Palpatine energy coming off of you.
Do you not understand the concept of fighting for civil rights? Because they're just basically the empire is going after different races, communities, aliens. It's not, so that's what the empire is doing. And the rebels are trying to fight for everyone to have the freedom to live. So, but then
Pretty
on the
much.
other hand, there are people like me who are fans of Darth Vader. Not necessarily the empire and what they're fighting for, but we're just fans of
Mm,
the person because he fights amazing. And, you know, this is not a spoiler. Darth Vader used to be a really good Jedi. So, we just like to support our faves.
okay.
Anyway,
That was a lot
but
to learn about Tanya. Like I was like, yes. So I am catching up on. I'm trying to like dole out things I really like because I'm a binger. So I'm like, if I like
Mhm.
something, I can just like sit and watch the whole thing. Um, And I've just like also done better in not like sitting and watching TV for hours and hours and hours.
Mhm.
I need to curb some of my YouTube content, but I'm doing some books, some audibles. Anyway, I started watching Forever on Netflix. Somebody in the comments asked about it. So I'm
Mhm.
on episode I just finished episode 6 and there's 8 episodes. Funny thing is, so I'm a huge Judy Blume fan.
Mhm.
Um, read her books when I was younger, like, all the things. And when I saw they were like redoing Forever and making it like a young black couple, I was like, absolutely, I'm here for it. And for some reason, my brain thought it was just going to be a movie. I didn't realize it was going to be a series. And so when I
Yeah.
sat down to watch it, I was like, wait, what? So it's just been very nice. And I will say, and
Mhm.
I think about this often, anytime I watch something that's really, really good, like good character development, whether that's like, strong characters, complex characters, whatever, it does frustrate me a little bit with GH. I cannot lie about this because I just see the laziness of sometimes in this writing when I'm watching something that's really good. So that's what happened with me forever. I'm not finished. I do love it. I think that the young leads, just like phenomenal chemistry. Um, the story is like I said, like really complex. There's like representation around like neurodivergence, which I love. Um, there's just like a dark skinned black lead, and she's
Mhm.
gorgeous and she's very quirky and fun and funny. Um, lots of personalities. Like I'm like watching like the interviews and stuff for them now. So I just really enjoyed getting into that. It's that young adult love. I saw some people like pushing back on it, and I'm kind of like, well, y'all, we are grown. So, if you have an issue with the way like young adult stories are being told, chances are it's because you're no longer a young adult and it's no longer for you. And we have to be okay with like certain stories not being for us.
Yeah. If it makes you uncomfortable, don't watch it. Period. No,
Because
I appreciate
yeah, oh, go ahead,
I
go ahead.
I was like, I appreciate you sharing about that. I saw the lead actress being interviewed on Good Morning some CBS, and she seemed really great, and she talked about how she loved the character because the character is very strong and independent and very goal oriented and knows what she wants and has plans and all that good stuff.
Hmm.
And she's like the dominant character. I think she said in the book, the I guess the boyfriend was the more dominant and
Yeah,
assertive character, and so they switched it around.
yeah,
So
they
she
did.
she enjoyed it. So good. I'm glad you
Yeah,
liked it.
yeah. She's also like very soft too. Like in like I
Uh-huh.
think I love a character that's like really, really tough, but also has those soft moments.
Hmm.
Um, and I also will say I think that's something that's also pretty interesting. I was talking about this the other day with a couple people, is that I mean they're not very young because in this book they're supposed in the show they're supposed to be like high school, and I do believe they're like in their 20s. But we are having more stories about like young people told by younger people. Because I think about
Hmm.
something like All American. I don't know if folks watch it, but it's based on a true story about a football player. The guy who plays the head, like the main character, is like in his 30s now.
Mm.
And so people would like talk about the difference between like his acting and the acting of like the younger, like the newer cast, because they kind
Hmm.
of moved on to like the next generation of people. And I'm like, yeah, but he also was like classically trained and he's like in his 30s.
Hmm.
So like it's gonna be different. And so I do feel like we're seeing a kind of return to people casting younger people in younger roles because we've often had people who were like older cast in these younger roles. So watch Star Wars, watch Forever. That's our plug. Tanya, who is your performer of the week?
Um, this week it didn't really have a lot of standout performances for me, but I have to give it up again to Giovanni Mazza. I felt like especially his scenes with who was it? Maybe it was Brook Lynn, but he was talking about Dante. It's just
Hmm.
been really powerful. And again, I said it at the end, but I'm going to read at the end of last episode with us. I would say it again. I think one of the best things they did was to not necessarily get rid of the violin, but give him something more to do than be on a violin. I think that was the best thing they could
Yeah,
have done for the character.
yeah.
We get to see his personality more. We get to see, him having great conversations, great dialogue with other vets, and, showing up well. And so I'm starting to like his character now.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so shout out to Giovanni. And then I saw like a viral video of him playing violin at a game, and he was playing violin with some hip hop music. And I was like, oh,
With Squabble Up, or no, was it
right,
Squabble
you
Up?
squabble up. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
squabble
yeah,
up. I was
yeah,
like, all right, now, okay,
yeah.
I see you.
That's an older video. It happened before the
Oh,
Super
okay.
Bowl because I was
So
like, I'm
maybe
gonna tag Kendrick and be like, you should bring him to Super. Um,
right, that would have been so cool. Oh my God. But anyway.
but I think that you're right about like them
Hmm.
doing more with his character. When you have someone who is as talented as him at the violin, because if you go on any of his page, like you will
Hmm.
see this is not just something he talked about. Like he is like phenomenal at this. And so
Right.
it's like, of course, you want to like incorporate that as part of his character, but that's it. You have to incorporate it. It cannot be his full character. And so
Right.
now it actually makes sense because he's doing the violin playing, like for the
Hmm.
nurse's ball, and it's like helping him, like all of
Yeah.
that. So you're totally right. Everybody seems to love him. Like he is very good with all the vets.
Hmm.
I like him with Emma. Yeah, he's really been a standout for sure.
Yeah. Which I don't know what that means for him long term because obviously he could be doing so many other things. But I'm enjoying him right now.
Right.
So yay.
Good job, Giovanni. Um, let's get into the stories. I'm gonna be honest with you. This week it was okay, but a lot of times I will like go back and watch things or whatever.
Hmm.
I have not gone back and watched things, so please, in the comments, like let us know what we've missed. I'm gonna upload this if you're watching on YouTube as a live premiere, and so
Yeah.
I'll be kind of cooking in the comments with y'all. Um,
Okay.
yeah, like while when we upload it, but we might miss some things. First things first, let's get into Curtis knowing that Portia's being blackmailed. And I found that really fascinating that they did that. And I love that they did
Hmm.
that because I'm like, too often we have people playing stupid.
Hmm.
Portia has, you're not low, Portia. You are not low. So she like is going to Curtis and is making these like, pitches about how they shouldn't go at Drew and how it can impact things and like tried to like throw Willow as a nurse in there. And so Curtis was like, okay. And he left and was like, nah, this
Something
is
is
not,
wrong.
this ain't it. Um,
Right.
so he does have this conversation with Jordan. And I
Hmm.
appreciated that when Jordan showed up, she was like, I don't know, like given our history, should I be the one that you're talking to about this? And he was like,
Hmm.
I need to talk about it. How do you feel about the progression of this? Was this something that you were surprised that they had come out so soon? Not soon, but like come out this way, or did you think they were going to drag it on?
I certainly did think they were going to drag it on because, that's modus operandi for many soaps.
Yeah.
But I was definitely pleasantly surprised that he came up with it on his own instead of being told by somebody
Hmm.
that Portia was being blackmailed. And what's interesting about it is that she is still digging in her heels to be like, no, I can't tell him because it would just be devastating to our marriage. And while he's concerned, he's not like told it right now, he's not like pissed at
Right.
her, right? He's just more like, I feel like Drew must have something on her because otherwise, why, this about face and opinion about Drew. So
Hmm.
we don't know what's going to happen when he actually confronts her with this. But to me, it just demonstrates that we as an audience and Curtis as a husband has more faith in their marriage than she does. Because we're like, dude, why don't you just tell the truth? Because he knows
Yeah.
everything you did back, except for now, what she has to say to tell him and catch him up on. He's probably not going to approve of her and Nina's actions. That might be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah.
Not the blackmail itself, but everything she's doing to maintain the blackmail is
Hmm.
probably what's going to get him.
It's tough because I feel like they haven't given Portia enough of opportunity over time to have a real personality. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything that she's done is like tied to Trina or tied to her. Like there's not enough about her. We don't know, and we used to have like some moments. Remember when she would go to yoga with Terry and Liz, but then that was always tied to Finn. Like she doesn't get those moments. Like they had her go to the Savoy with the girls one night. She needs more of that. She's never given this opportunity to be a heroine. The last time I think Portia had like a really good moment is when she like woke up that guy for Trina. Even that was shady, but we were all so over the trial and like, of course, as a mother, you're gonna do these things. But she doesn't get those moments. I'm tired. Like she's getting blackmailed by Brad, then she's getting blackmailed by Drew. When is she gonna get a win? Because obviously, I mean, who knows? But if Curtis is true to character, Curtis will leave. We don't know if they're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
Curtis be true to character.
Mm-hmm.
But in any event, she looks ridiculous, and she's continued to pile on. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's not just that she did this illegal thing with Heather. Nobody even talks about Heather or thinks about Heather anymore. That's done. You
Mm-hmm.
now drug someone.
Mm-hmm.
You drugged a congressperson. So
Right.
I'm just like tired of her not getting a win. I'm tired of her not being able to be in this like heroine position ever. Of course, like it's a soap, and so we know people are going to be complex and like going to be ups and downs. But where's her up? Even when she got married, she was, harboring this Trina secret. Curtis gets shot. She's snapping on Anna. You know what I mean? Like she's never just had this moment to like carry, particularly since the thing with Trina's trial, and
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty frustrating to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on the one hand, you know, I'm glad that she has some story, that she's on the screen, that she's
Yeah.
doing things. She's not like a side chick, but at the same time, it is very depressing to have her be always on the defensive, always trying to cover up something and, never having just a moment of peace. Can you imagine? Just
Hmm.
always on the alert. That would be, very stressful in of itself.
Right.
So, sad for her on that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. The last we saw, it looks like, you know, Curtis is going to confront Drew about it rather than confronting Portia, which is interesting take. I think they're both kind of like working, outside of each other when,
Hmm.
they should just be, talking to each other and planning together in a true partnership. That's
Right.
another reason why this marriage is doomed, just because they don't talk to one another
Hmm.
about real things that they needed. But I mean, they talk to one another, they think they're communicating well, but they're not.
No.
No, and then
No.
so. Mhm.
It has never felt like there was a commitment to Curtis and Portia. It felt
Mhm.
like I guess we're gonna keep Trina's parents together, even though like so many of us don't even really like have a bitterness and a bitter taste for how they did
Mhm.
Taggart around Trina.
Right.
Every time Trina talks about Curtis and just calls him dad, it's so bizarre.
Insulting to me. It's
It,
insulting to me, I think.
she was grown when she
Mhm.
found out. She's not a child. Now, and it's
And
not that. it's like it just rolls off the tongue. Like and you don't ever talk about the man who raised you. It's so
And then, especially if and this is not Trina's fault, but it flies in the face of everything she told Taggart at the time. She
right,
told him, "You're always going to be my dad. I'm always going to with you. We're always going to be close."
right.
And yet, there's hardly ever a mention of him in any conversation she has.
No, there's no
So,
evidence of that
you know,
closeness.
never. No, I mean, even if they don't have Taggart on the canvas, there's other ways that she could be in constant thought about him, thinking about
Hmm.
him. Like, oh, I just talked to my dad the other day.
Right.
Oh, it was his birthday. Oh, my dad, I remember how my dad raised me to do this.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
none of that, and so it's
Hmm.
very, very upsetting and insulting to me,
Yeah.
I
I
think.
mean, it is part of what cemented her legacy to the show is that she was
Hmm.
Taggart's daughter.
Hmm.
And even if they took away the blood tie, that familial tie should still be there. And it's just not at all.
Yeah.
And that's something I think GH does really poorly. That a soap that I don't think is that good, but better than GH in this way is Days.
Hmm.
Days brings people back very often. They'll come back for like arcs and then leave again. And you never forget people. People, whether
Hmm.
they're on screen or not, like they are part of the story. And Trina's roots in Port Charles are not the Ashford family because the Ashford family doesn't have enough roots. Look at what happened to TJ. Nobody brings TJ up.
At all.
TJ, was on the show for over a decade. He's not even mentioned. So it is, again, it's pretty frustrating to like watch how they're going down. And I think that the story for Trina coming out of Spencer's death could have been like supporting Taggart through getting through alcoholism. It would have given her something to do. It would have given her something familial to do, and it would have given her a way to like channel her grief in a way that I think worked really well for Tatiana as an actress, which is like stoicism.
And then the story that they have for her is like a nothing story. Like it would have been something, and you joked about it, but like Kai actually dying or not making it from the surgery might have
Somebody
been
put
a
in our
better.
comments. Somebody put in our comments. Kai made it.
I know, and I'm just like, but like I said last time, Kai didn't die. So what now? Like, what does she have now? What is the story for her? I mean, even like they're not even really touching on, what's going on with him, except to say, he wants to get healthy so he can go to the nurses' ball. But once he gets better and he starts practicing and he gets back into football and maybe he makes it to the pros, what about Trina?
Right. I mean, and I think this, they had this like Jocelyn Trina scene
Mhm.
where she kind of like explained a little bit. It almost felt very thrown in there, but it was like, oh yeah, like I'm doing this or I'm here for Kai because like people have been there for me, like you were there for me, blah blah blah.
Right.
That's actually not compelling enough to like believe that Trina put her life on hold and like
Hmm.
all we're seeing is her and this guy. Like it needed to tie back to something. Even if it
Right.
was to say, Taggart went to get treatment somewhere and Trina felt like she couldn't help him and so she stepped up to help Kai. Like I still don't think that's enough of a story for her, but at least give us something because this is
Right.
like giving us absolutely nothing. And I the football story for Kai wasn't even compelling. So
It's
losing
not.
football wasn't compelling.
Right. So, mm,
Yeah, I don't know. Well, speaking of kind of like the young adult scene, let's talk about Joss and Emma. Um, so Joss the spy got this lab assistant job that Emma wanted. Um, they did not. were not clear to me. I mean, I guess maybe Josh used Emma's work, but it still was not clear to me why Josh would have gotten this job.
Yeah, we didn't see the final product, or we didn't even see her working on her project. So we don't even know, like, except for her saying it,
Right,
I'm going to apply for this job. We didn't see any evidence that she was doing any of that. And so, and I don't know, was this talked about, but did the did the WSB do a project for her and submit it for her? Like, I don't
right.
know.
That's the
So any
question.
yeah, so in any case, she won and she got the spot. Um, her confrontation with Emma was interesting because Emma totally flashed on her and was like, "You
Mhm.
did this." And again, bringing up the rich dad thing. I'm like, is Jax really going to come back? Because the way that Emma has Jax in her brain is just crazy. So she accused Jocelyn of the dad writing a check so she can get the internship, which is wrong. But it just immediately Emma turned on her and thought that she betrayed her and all this good stuff. And so it was really an interesting little squabble that they had there. But the funny thing to me was the scene that they had where they were just combing through his office. Like she had a little phone gadget, and I guess she was just scanning the room. I don't know what she was scanning the room for. Maybe like um listening devices, or I don't know.
Mhm.
But it was just an interesting use of what they call technology, WSB technology to find things. And then they kept looking at each other. I was just watching it just on the technicality of it all, and I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
And
I'm curious about how they're going to connect this because having this be a standalone story is a mistake. So are they going to
mhm.
connect this somewhere to Sidwell? Like it, the WSB as a whole doesn't feel compelling enough to like be something that Josh is in and that Josh that is carrying Josh slash Josh is carrying it. Um,
And
it's just
again, the
tough for
whole
me to invest.
it, yeah, and it's not high stakes enough, right? Unless,
Right.
he's doing something dastardly that endangers the whole world. With the way that, the whole ice princess thing or the weather thing or
Hmm.
whatever,
Hmm.
it's not the same. I think they're trying to do a next generation Anna Devane and, Robert Scopio and all of them,
Right.
but it's just not like as high stakes as it was when it was in the other generation. So it's
Right.
just like, oh, I mean, animal rights is important, y'all. It's important. But it's not like, oh my God, the world's gonna end tomorrow if Joss doesn't solve this case. That's, not what it
Right.
is. And so it's not like compelling enough for me, I don't think.
Yeah. It's not even like tying animal testing or animal rights back to deception, which is a cosmetic company. Like, there's just
Hmm.
nothing. It's just, what does this mean? I will also say that, I'm okay with there being, I'm not a person, I'm okay with there being friction between Jocelyn and Trina. I think that that's realistic for friendships. And so, but they just never go there with them. And the reality is
Hmm.
like Jocelyn has had to keep lots of things from Trina. Now, I'm not a person that says that makes Jocelyn a bad friend or a bad person or whatever. I'm just saying it's the reality where her life is like included a lot of secrets because of the mob, because of whatever. And now she's going into the WSB and also having to keep secrets. Even her kind of going to Trina for absolution to be like, Emma's mad at me because I got this job. And then having Trina turn around and be like, well, of course, having some concern for Emma because it's Trina, but then being like, well, I'm sure you got it fair and square. Jocelyn, why even bring Trina into this? So I do wonder if this will create some sort of rift with her and Trina, which I'm not against. I am also, like I said, I'm just not one of those people who believe that Jocelyn's like a horrible friend or a horrible person. I don't think that's true. But I do think that they are due for a rift.
Hmm. I get that's all we can say about it because it's like such a non-story.
I know. I love that. Also, Emma went to Anna, and Anna was like, "Girl, you cannot be saying this in public. Like, please stop. Like, you can't just be making these kind of
Yeah,
allegations without proof."
right.
Funny,
You don't need to be that accept. You'll get another job.
right? Um, let's get into all things BLQ baby drama.
Mm-mm.
There's lots of things step by step. So
Yes.
first, we have Tracy meeting with Jason. Tracy like tells Jason about BLQ's baby. I'm just like, what is happening here?
It
Like
was so funny because people like somebody assured somebody that no one was going to learn about Brooklyn's baby. I'm like,
Tracy,
sir, everybody knows about Brooklyn's baby now. Everybody.
but
Yeah, it was
it
Tracy,
also,
was it?
yeah, it's also
Yeah.
for me. I'm I keep trying to see every side of this issue. We'll get a little bit more into that, but because I know that I'm so clear on choice, like a woman's right to choose. Um, and I consider adoption part of that choice, and the ways in which the woman chooses to do the adoption is part of that choice. And I
Hmm.
think, Lois completely violated Brook Lynn. It is damn near unforgivable what Lois has done because it's not just you did something once. You like have been keeping up a lie for 22 years, which is like the problem when you like
Hmm.
retcon in this way. Um, but yeah, I've been trying to see, different sides. I don't see Lois' side at all. And I don't see Tracy's side in this of like going to Jason to be like, I want you to go find my great grandson. And it's wild because both Jason and Sunny have been voices of reason this week, and Jason was like, I'm not doing that. If Brook Lynn needs help, if Brook Lynn wants me to help her find the baby, she knows where I am, I'm down. But I will not be doing
Hmm.
that behind her back.
Hmm. It parallels to me, especially since my enemy of life is in this story now. The parallel is how the story of Sasha's baby came out. Like
Mm,
everybody was just like, you can't do that to Sasha. This is Sasha's secret and blah blah blah. But yeah, everyone seems okay to be knowing about Brooklyn and
yeah.
her baby and weighing in on it. And so that's why it's like super offensive to me that Lulu would tell Cody of all people, because Cody was just running his mouth all over town about Sasha's baby, did not care. And I have a feeling he'll do the same thing with Brooklyn. Telling Cody is like telling a newspaper, I think. And so, um, just Lulu not having she promised she wouldn't tell anyone about the baby, but she's telling everybody.
Yeah.
She told Laura, she told
Carly?
Carly, she told, now she's telling Cody, all the people who are like not necessarily the best secret keepers. And she's telling. And so she's violating that first secret. And then she's constantly accusing Brook Lynn of being, complicit and lying about the whole thing and just feeling like she has every right to tell people, every right to investigate, every right to, accuse her of wrongdoing and just try and judge her is just really crazy to me. So the fact that people are treating the secret not like the secret that it needs to be is really crazy for
Hmm.
me and the writers to do this is just
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's back up because I do want to get into that
yeah, yeah.
100%. Um, I also agree like the carelessness because like secret. I mean, that's how I also refer to it, but it's also like a woman's healthcare decision. Like
Right.
you have made Brooklyn's like very personal decision extremely public, and everybody is talking about it as if like it doesn't matter. I don't know for sure if I can't remember. I didn't go back to watch the scenes. If Lulu specifically told Laura exactly what was happening.
Me, I think she,
I don't know. I would somebody could tell
yeah,
us
I
because
have
I
to
don't
go back and
remember.
watch because they were talking about it like, is this your baby? Is this, I feel like, no, Laura never really talked about why Lulu Lulu's animosity towards Brooklyn plays a role in this. So maybe she doesn't know that it's Brooklyn, but she knows
Yeah.
that she knows about somebody's baby.
Right. Right.
All right.
So we can actually just go right there since we're already there.
Yeah.
Um, I have been trying to like see this from other sides because I had I barely tweet about the show and I happened to tweet about this. I felt really strongly about it, and then like some Lulu fans came in my mentions, and I was just like, I'm not gonna fight with y'all about this. Like I said, what I said. I sympathize and understand if don't agree. I don't agree, but I can understand if Lulu was like, look, it is kind of what she said to Carly. Dante's my person. And I feel like having the secret between us and like my son having a brother out there, like means that I need to say something. That feels, at least I see it. This other part, this like underlying animosity against Brooklyn, this like insistence that she's lying when we as the audience know that she's not, and we actually see how she's been done dirty by Lois, makes Lulu look terrible. One of the things I kind of commented on this week is that the way Lulu is acting is not as if she's gonna blow up lives. As if she's like solving a case and like putting puzzle pieces together. And this is like very similar to what she did when her story led to like Faison coming back and Nathan getting killed. Like just no regard for lives. No matter what happens, like zooming out. So her assumption through everything is that like Geo is Brooklyn's baby. Well, now we remember the scenes because they were very powerful when she found out that Brooklyn found out that she had a son. All of these things. Nothing that has happened should make Lulu believe that Brooklyn is lying.
Right. But she's like,
We
Brooklyn is a good liar. So,
we've seen Brooklyn
right.
grow up on like while Lulu was asleep, we saw
Hmm.
Brooklyn grow up on the show. We've seen her be put through the ringer on things. And for me, as somebody who isn't, I'm pretty neutral on Brooklyn. I don't dislike her. I'm not particularly a fan of hers. I've been pretty disgusted with with her peers in general. Because I remember when she first came back and Link, that like music producer, was like harassing her, and Ned wouldn't buy her out of her contract. What do you mean? What do you mean you will not buy her out of her contract? Like you are her father and she is being like sexually harassed by a man and you will not stop it. That's wild. And so then at the same
Hmm.
time, Lois, you have allowed her to like be in Geo's life his whole life as his like distant cousin or whatever, not as his mother. That's that's unconscionable. That's unconscious. I can't even say it. That's unconscionable.
Unconscionable. Yeah.
That's that's unconscious. No, that's
Yeah.
unconscionable. It's an actual horrible thing to do. And so Lulu like knows some of this stuff and is just so cavalier with it. Geo thinks that his mother is dead. So when you blow this up, Geo, no matter anything else, no other things, you are blowing up for him the relationship he has with Lois, and you are blowing up the memory of his mother. And
Hmm.
you're sitting here with no care in the world about it. Even though the whole story about you getting Charlotte back and we ain't seen Charlotte since was that you're a mother and everybody should feel this way for you. How do you like? Do you are you like picking up what I'm putting down? Like, are you feeling how she? How are you feeling about Lulu's behavior? I know you were pretty either like kind of Lulu neutral or pro Lulu when she was coming back.
I mean, I am still kind of pro Lulu coming back on the canvas just as a good overall having stories, different stories to have on the show. I think Lulu brings tension, she brings controversy, she brings whatever to the show. What she's doing, like, doesn't mean I like what she's doing as a person, right? I think you had tweeted something about like she had a smirk on her face, like almost like she's
Mm-hmm.
enjoying ousting like Brook Lynn. So that tells me like her motivation to do this isn't squaring because she is enjoying the idea of one-upping Brook Lynn in something. Like, and
Right.
she's single-mindedly focused on Brook Lynn, even though she told Tracy she's not going to write the story anymore.
Right.
She's still focused on this as a topic. Like, it's her main goal in life. So it's not even about her career, even though she was fighting for it because of her career. She needs to do something as a journalist to make a splash, to make a living. No, she's doing this out of whatever spite, that she's not even really doing it for she says she's doing it for Dante, but not really, because she's not even talking about it that much anymore. Like, she just doesn't like the idea of her holding the secret. It's not about what is actually best for Dante or what is best for her son. She doesn't even mention Rocco in this. It's really about Dante,
Right.
and then being able to you know make Brook Lynn look bad in his eyes. I think that's what she really wants.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't like the fact that they're friends. And so I don't like it. And then I also definitely, again, do not like that she told Cody.
Yeah.
It's like the worst thing that she could have possibly done. I am just like not feeling how this is going to turn out. I think, what did I write about it? I was just like, of course, Cody would be the one to agree with Lulu. And he
Right.
will probably be the one to tell everyone in town about Dante's son. He'll let it slip. He'll go on a drinking binge and then just tell everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, like, even if I was to write a reveal, it wouldn't be that Cody would be the one revealing it. So I don't know. I don't like what she's doing, but of course, what it does is that it brings a topic of for GH to have. It's the controversy of the week or of the summer. There's going to be big reveals probably with the nurses ball, and that's probably going to
Mm-hmm.
be it.
Yeah.
So you know, I do like Lulu being on the canvas. I just don't like her right now. I don't like what she's doing right now. I thought, on the one hand, I thought she handled what happened with Rocco very well, except for
Yes,
the
I agree
fact
with
that
that.
except for the fact that she now thinks it's Geo. But she reacted well. She was a good mom. She punished him. She was great. But then now this other thing though, like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, I mean, the writing does her no favors because we have to do
Yeah,
all of this to like get Charlotte back, and we don't even hear her talking about Charlotte.
right.
Like, we don't even hear her being like, in light of what happened to Rocco, now I gotta hold, we watching Charlotte even more. Just nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah, we
Um,
don't even know where Charlotte is. Again, we talked about it last week. Where is Charlotte? She's in the
yeah,
attic.
yeah. I would also say that they apparently, they tried to retcon it so that that Cody is also like an old friend of Brook Lynn's. And so Cody should have enough sense to be like, I don't think Brooklyn had anything to do with this. Like, even if you're right, I think
Hmm.
like this would have been a good time to like slow it down and be like, even if you're right, I think I think that Brooklyn is being lied to as well.
Right.
It also, I mean, and I also hate this. I hate this thing so much where people are like, "Oh, it's a soap," and so da da da. Yes, it is a soap, and messy things are going to happen. But we are supposed to, like, we also know the right thing that's going to happen. So part of our reaction is not being like, "Oh, it's
Hmm.
a soap, so nobody cares." It's this, like, this is a soap, so we can expect outlandish, but we still know the right thing to do.
Hmm.
And so the right thing to do would have been not holding this over Brooklyn. And if you were going to go tell Dante, again, I don't even think you should, but if you were going to go tell Dante, you should have done it instead of doing this like long, drawn out, I'm going to do a story, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, like to essentially get one up on Brooklyn. Go tell him. Even if,
Hmm.
like, what is the purpose of like trying to find out about Geo? If you really feel this way, tell Dante what you know right now
Right.
and let him
And
decide.
they had a conversation where, they hashed things out, and then Dante was like, no more secrets between us.
Hmm.
And that would have been a perfect opportunity to be like, oh, well, by the way, I do know this one secret, just let it
Yeah,
go. And she
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even it's even on Forever, going back to that I'm watching, there was like
Hmm.
this thing that was like a secret that happened with one of the young people, and the mom was like, if she doesn't tell her mom, then I'm gonna tell her mom. And it was like a very personal thing. And even I at that time was like, I don't agree with that. I don't
Hmm.
agree. Like, you don't know people's dynamic, you don't know people's like relationships, you actually don't get to make that decision for people. Um, and so with this, I also am like, you part of it's not as if Brooklyn, prior to the Geo reveal of it all, was purposely holding a son from Dante that she was raising or that she had hidden somewhere. As far as Brooklyn knew, her child could reach out to her if they wanted to. And so what she was doing was protecting what she thought was set up for her kid. And so she
Hmm.
wasn't trying to go find him to disrupt his life. And never in that equation did neither Lulu nor now Cody think that either. It's just destruction. It's just what I want when I want, tell it however I want to tell it. And that to me feels just like a terrible story to tell from two terrible characters, in my opinion.
And now all of this, Lulu heard in the confrontation with Brooklyn. She heard that Brooklyn says she did not know her baby was a boy. And that was a genuine reaction. It was a
Yeah.
genuine reaction that Lulu believed.
Hmm.
But now she's discounting it because she's like,
Hmm.
she knows that Gio is her son now.
Hmm.
Like, none of that. She saw the pain that Brooklyn was, feeling at the idea of, Lois knowing that her son was out there, Lois talking to other people about it. That was a genuine reaction. What did she think, that Brooklyn is just a consummate actress? And another thing is though, I don't know what could be an argument that Lulu could make is that Brooklyn has lied about a baby before. She did it for Maxie, and everyone believed
Yeah,
it. But she
But Lulu
doesn't
was
know
asleep.
it.
Yeah.
She was asleep and she doesn't know it. And so she has no other reason to believe that Brooklyn is lying about this.
Hmm.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. And the other thing that we have, obviously, the kind of manufactured drama is that Dante is still mad at Gio.
Just
Rocco was kind of like,
unnecessarily.
yeah. Rocco was kind of like, it was me. He was an adult, blah, blah, blah. For me, in order for this to even remotely make sense, I mean, and they didn't do it because of timing, because like next week is my
Hmm.
nurse's ball, and my
Hmm.
assumption is that things are going to blow up and come out at the nurse's ball. They should have
Hmm.
had Rocco be in more danger,
Yeah.
right? Like they should have had like more time for them to worry about him, more time to like really think they could lose him, you know, like because then you can understand this parent like going out of their mind with grief and blowing up and saying whatever. But the fact that like Rocco's okay, Rocco told you what it was. Dante, you've been a teenager before, or like a young adult before. You can be mad at Gio, but this like judgment that you're doing of him. He made a mistake. He's not a person. He's not like a bad person. And
Right.
it's very weird for Dante to be acting like he is.
And even if he believed that Gio really, really, truly believed that Gio has been coddled all his life, that isn't his fault either.
Right.
That would be Lois's fault. And that's who you should be mad at, not
Hmm.
Gio. Gio at the even if he didn't do all the right things, he did do the right thing in taking Rocco out of the situation. You don't even give him credit for that.
Right. And he hasn't, we didn't hear him like apologize for like saying that Rocco gave him alcohol, none of that. It's just
None of
been
that. Yeah. He didn't
just,
apologize to Gio or Jason,
yeah. Well, he ain't gonna apologize to Jason.
which is sad
Um,
because I liked them being on the same page in terms of their kids for
I
Sam's
did
sake. And
too.
now that doesn't, yeah, now that's
I like
not,
that
um,
as well.
yeah,
And I felt like
especially
Jason did
with,
a good job with Danny and like the follow up to that.
yeah. I mean, I think they both have a bigger enemy out there in the guise of Drew. So they need to be sticking together. But
Yep.
no, Dante, yeah. Mm.
Yep. Um, we also have, and I think that you like this. I think I remember you saying tweeted about liking this, that Rick and Ava got one over on Alexis. So Alexis kind of went to Rick and was like, "Look, you are doing too much." Because he like went to her like wanted to up the money, wanted to do whatever, and she was like, "You're doing too much, but I'll give you this chance to like back out of this because like we'll all go down and get in trouble if this comes out." um, because Alexis called Spinelli and thought that she had found the car that was in the accident. Because right now, what we have is the evidence is Christina in this video looking like she's about to do something, but they don't have video of her doing it. And then this car that has the cut brakes. Um, Spinelli tracks it to a garage, um, and Alexis shows up and it's not there. I am confused about the story because, from my understanding, there was like twofold of why Alexis was trying to cover up. One was like, I don't want Molly to find out and that break up her and Christina, but the other one was like the legal piece of it. I don't want Christina to go to jail. And a car that's been moved around like this, I don't understand how that could possibly still be evidence.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's, yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess chain of evidence or whatever they call it, like it's not being in police custody, so you don't know who did what, I guess. But to me, I mean, if the car's brakes were cut, I don't think that saves Christina. I mean, because she was in the room. I mean, the video shows her being in the room at the time and looking like she cut the brakes. And so the car will only just prove that she cut the brakes. I'm
Right, but
confused.
like, how
Yeah.
could they
So,
prove that Christina actually cut brakes? That's not what was found in the police report, and the chain of custody for the car is. And anybody can cut the brakes at this point now.
right. And so, unless Rick, well, Rick remembers that the brakes weren't working.
Sure.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I don't, I mean, in any case, yeah, it didn't work out. So, so Alexis went there and she didn't find the car. And what I enjoyed was just, the game. I
Hmm.
enjoyed that Rick got there. Rick and I guess maybe Ava got there before and just left this really, saucy envelope. And it was
Hmm.
just, it just made me cackle. I
Hmm.
cackled hard. And then Lucky getting there. No, so this is what I'm confused about. Lucky, I'm not confused. I'm mad. Lucky is
Yes.
all up in this case and not talking to Elizabeth.
Yes.
He should have
Yes.
told her that night that he knew what was going on. And maybe
Yes.
Elizabeth and Lucky can deliberate about whether or not going to the police, but he shouldn't be
Oh,
keeping the
Liz is a
secret from
snitch. It wouldn't have
Elizabeth.
been it wouldn't have been a deliberation.
Well, no,
Uh,
because she keeps secrets about she kept the secret about Nicholas and Esme. So if
Barely.
she had a barely, but if she wants to protect somebody, she'll protect somebody. Um, but yeah, I think it's totally wrong. And I think that's somebody had tweeted out that Lucky and Elizabeth weren't like as popular a couple now as they were back in the day. And I think part of the reason is because Lucky's lying to Elizabeth. And that just
Mm,
brings out some of for me, it brings out leaves away some of the excitement of them being together, is that he's not showing that he's changed.
right.
Um, and so that's just like, I'm not excited about it as much anymore, even if they are cute together.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that I think about this. So they did fumble Lucky's return, absolutely, as they
Yeah.
typically fumble so many things. Um, I think that Lucky and Elizabeth are very popular. I think that maybe Twitter doesn't think so because Twitter is like, like a lot of
Hellscape.
Twitter has a lot of, well, that, and there's a lot of like people who support Liz's other pairings. The
Hmm.
only place that Liz and Lucky don't do just absolute numbers is Twitter. I would say
Totally.
even Facebook and Instagram, if you because I look at the numbers, if you go back and you track the numbers between like when they have scenes together versus like when they don't, it always does numbers. The comments are always like, "Oh my God, Liz and Lucky." The problem is this writing. Now, I believe that Lucky should have had to work harder to gain Elizabeth and Aiden's like, love, respect, whatever. This also to me goes back to how GH like disappears from the canvas and then stops talking about them. I'm not saying Lucky could have been a good dad off campus, but he could have certainly not been the deadbeat that he was. They could have
Hmm.
easily had Aiden talk about how, oh yeah, I went to go spend like the summer with my, because we didn't see Liz's kids for a long time anyway. So he could
There
have
was
easily
like,
said,
well, when Aiden was off campus, they were saying, "Oh, he's with Lucky over the summer, or he's with doing
not
some
recently.
trip." Not
We,
recently,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because
but
like basically
yeah.
once they had, um, even when we had Drew, who was Jake Doe slash Jason, back when it was still Billy Miller, when Lucky bought back Jake, it was like he barely talked to Aiden.
Hmm.
Liz was like, "I'm gonna wake him up because he's gonna be so excited to see you." It was like, okay, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't anything real. And then we did not hear about Aiden saying Lucky anywhere between that because he had Drew slash Jason slash Jake Doe as a father figure, and then right after that he had Franco. And Franco was like really more of Aiden's like family than Lucky was. And I don't think that was necessary. You could have easily had Aiden and Lucky still being in all those boys' lives, and Liz still being a great single mom. Um, because Lucky's not really there, but what they did was like unnecessary to me. And so now now we don't have the two of them in scenes together. When they're in scenes, we have Lucky with like if Lucky and Liz are in scenes together, everybody's there. He's leaving. And
Hmm.
we have more scenes of Lucky with Christina and
Hmm.
Liz with Lucas.
Right.
So Christina tells Lucky that Alexis was going to have her committed. Lucky, I think, puts two and two together, and so he also shows up. I think for me, what I need a little bit more of, I hate the story. There's nothing that can make me happy about it. But what I would need more of is Lucky, like leaning on this, like, Sam saved my family. I don't want to help. Like, I feel guilty and I gotta, like, help keep her family together. I still would be mad at him, but these kind of, like, little steps, I think are necessary to tell a better story. Yeah. So,
Yeah, right now, the only reason he's keeping the secret is because he's sympathetic to Christina. I don't think it's good enough. And
Yeah, I don't think it's
also
good
think
either.
he needs to do more. I also think he needs to do more to put Christina in check. She's still like trying to justify, you
Hmm.
know, and being mad at. He did mention like, it would be okay if you went and, got help or, all that, but he's still trying to protect her. I don't like that, you
No, I
know.
hate it. I hate it, and I know people are saying that like Lucky and Christina have chemistry. I don't want to see that. Definitely don't. Which it disgusts me actually. Um,
Because
I mean, I just
he's
don't want to see
supposed to be
Christina.
very much, he's supposed to be really older than her.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess yeah. I don't know what their real age gap is,
Right now that they, you know,
but
harassed her. So, yeah.
yeah. So anyhow, we'll see. I'm not a fan of it, but I think the other part for me, and I know people like this. I realize that I don't like Ava and Rick more than I like Alexis. So that's why I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to see them win. I don't want to see anybody win.
Well, I like Ava and Rick more than I like Alexis. I like a lot of
Yeah,
people more than I like Alexis.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Um, Millow and their divorce and custody drama. Um, I don't know how Diane doesn't get disbarred for this, if I'm being honest with you. So Diane like filed some paperwork at Carly's behest for like the divorce, and they're like pushing forward for the divorce and like sole custody. That was kind of, excuse me, like served the day that Michael was caught on fire, but it was stalled, and so now um everything is supposed to happen at the beginning of June. Carly has like decided not to tell Michael, and she's gonna fight for custody herself. I don't understand how Diane doesn't get disbarred for this. This feels illegal to me.
the same way that Martin didn't get disbarred by serving separation papers on behalf of Willow, not talking to Willow. It's just
Oh
like
yeah.
Nina and Carly are both like really busybody moms making decisions for their children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's
It's
bad.
such a mistake not to have Michael a part of the story. And nobody wants to
Yes.
see like Mama's off-screen Mama's boy Michael be like run by Carly. Like nobody wants to see that.
And I did that. That was my hot take for this was like, why is Sunny now being the voice of reason in this divorce and custody? Like the easiest thing they could do is just talk. I mean, you talk to Michael about all kinds of things, but you can't talk to him about his divorce because you think that he's just gonna pick up and leave. I hope he does. I hope he does leave the hospital and show up in the court in 2 weeks.
And they haven't even, apparently nobody's even called Michael to be like, oh,
Oh,
you
by
didn't
the
want to see Willow? You want to talk about that?
right,
Nothing. Just
nothing. No one. They're just letting it drop. To just blow up Drew's lies. All well, we don't. There's no way they can prove it was Drew. But at the same time, just blow up this lie that Michael is just doesn't want to have anything to do with Willow.
right.
And as, they should have been talking from the very beginning, but all
Hmm.
these different circumstances kept them separated. All kinds of
Right.
misunderstandings. And now they're
Right.
at this point, we're at this really huge divorce that's going to be devastating for their kids.
Right. And so we have Rick comes on as the attorney. We have Drew kind of pitching this tactic to call Michael an absentee father because for two things. So one, that he could have stayed in the States and gone to like this treatment facility instead of Germany. And two, that when he talks to the kids, he doesn't go through Willow, he goes through his sister. So Willow doesn't have any evidence that Michael's like spending time or talking to the kids. Oh goodness.
Just the idea of them like saying Michael is choosing to not be with his kids. He was in a fight. I can't.
Yeah, wild. Um, so yeah, we have that, and then on the other side we have Willow like confiding in Isaiah, which is this is just like it's so clear that it would have made so much more sense for her to be talking to TJ because TJ was actually her friend. They were just like,
Right,
Black Doctor, let's sub in Isaiah.
right.
Like, okay. And so Isaiah asked her, like, in an ideal world, what would happen? And she basically was like, in an ideal world, Michael would realize the kids are better off with me and Drew.
In her
And
ideal world.
as she says this, she's still wearing Lila's ring. As
Oh
she
my
says this,
God.
she's
I for
like, oh yeah, you know, I won't be Nurse Corinthos much longer. Yeah, you shouldn't be. Why would you still have Michael's last name and you're living with Drew? You have straight up like you have not even taken a beat. You cheated, you moved on, you moved in with Drew, and you are trying to create some blended family with him before you're even divorced. I'm trying to understand how in any court in the nation somebody's like, this is not wild.
right.
So yeah, I think Carly is wrong in the situation. I think it's fascinating that Sunny is trying to be the voice of reason. I did see some people who were like kind of anti-Carson online saying like Sunny never has Carly's back. I don't think this is like one
What?
of the
That's not
instances.
that.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
don't
the
think this is
same.
that. So he
Yeah.
does go to try to see. Sunny does go try to see Willow. So I guess we will
Mhm.
see more from that or what comes from that. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm really hoping this means that they're gonna bring back Michael in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean they have to, I mean, I guess they don't have to, but like yeah, he's very much missing from the story.
Very much.
Last thing, the Legion of Drew, which I call it. Um, so we have Jordan going to update Laura, and Laura has talked to Sunny where they're talking about like Sidwell buying this property. I'm concerned that Jordan is not more concerned. Like I understand that she's like trying to infiltrate and take him down, but she doesn't have any like immunity, nothing like that, because nobody she's doing this on her own. And nobody feels concerned enough to me that he's amassed so much power so quickly.
And I also haven't seen evidence of her actually looking for evidence. Like
No.
what is the purpose of working for him? And she hasn't been in his office snooping around. At least Jocelyn looks like she's actually doing an
Go pick
investigation.
up Jocelyn spy stuff.
She's at least pretending she's doing something. Jordan is just doing this job and being in the mix. And and I don't understand why she's just allowed to do it. Um, yeah, you that's a good concern to have. Um,
It's wild. Um,
okay.
yeah, we got Jordan and her espionage on the Esplanade. You know, they want us to know all these words. So here we go. We would love for Jordan to be more concerned. She is not.
Right.
We also got I was very satisfied with Laura slapping Boyle in public. Now I don't know what that's gonna do for her political career, but I was happy about it.
Kitty Francis does this thing where when she gets super aggressive, she has this look where she's taken aback about what she just did, but
Yeah.
that yet she enjoys it at the same time.
Yeah, that like laugh she did afterwards was so funny.
She's like, oh, and then she's like, yeah. I'm like, yes, girl, that was you
That
slapping
was you.
somebody.
You did that. You slapped
You
somebody,
did
actually.
that. Yeah. she's she's funny like that. But yeah, it was very satisfying. He was out of pocket. What he was
Big out of
saying.
pocket.
Yeah,
Big out of pocket energy.
right. Talking about
Um,
Rocco and her family. I was just like,
yeah,
you don't
that
do that in
was
politics. You don't talk about the kids. You don't talk about the kids in
and
politics,
not in my face, you don't.
right?
Um,
Mm-mm.
but then you have Drew. So Boyle updates Drew because I was mad about this last week, but now Drew at least has Nina on his radar as somebody who helped with the drugging because Boyle basically ran up on Drew and was like, "Where my girl at?" And then told him that he saw the woman who drugged Drew like um talking
Yeah,
to Nina.
yeah,
Now, fascinating enough, there's not really much you can do unless that woman comes back to say something to prove that the drugging actually happened.
right.
And so you have Willow still like
Believing.
believing with him, whatever. And even if you believed him, it's not putting your children first to still be like in this like make believe blended family that y'all have made up. But we also know from the previews that that Nina's gonna slap Carly at Carly's house. I'm offended because what do you
Why?
mean?
I'm just like really curious of what's going to be said.
Yeah,
Maybe Nina's going to find out that Carly is going toe to toe for the custody and she's just offended by that. But I don't
I feel
think
like
that
Carly's gonna
warrants
bring up
like,
Nell or something.
oh yeah, probably. It has to be that because that's the only thing that really pisses Nina off is when you talk about Nell.
Right, whatever.
But that slap looked monumental.
It
It looks
did. Her hair was
considerable.
flopping. I was like, oh my
It was
God.
like she was like,
Carly, this is so offensive. All the slaps that needed to be handed out, like this is the one? Offensive. Oh, and then so Drew is like talking to Tracy. Drew's like kind of pathetic. I mean, not kind of, very, but like he talks to her. He like rolls up to the Quartermain property on a boat. Like what?
I like, and I love Tracy was like, don't try to be adding. See, that's the energy Alexis needed to have with Ava and Rick. Tracy was like, you ain't adding anything to this contract. You either do this or you do that. You're not getting back onto this house. If you want to get back in the house, you need to talk to Monica. I love that energy. Tracy's
And when
like,
she
you
walked
ain't
away,
trying
she's
to
like, "It's
attract.
Alan's house or Monica's house because Alan gave it to
I
her."
gave it to her.
We need a compilation of that, of like
Because
people
Alan
saying
gave it
that.
to her. But like I mean, like I said, Tracy is not about to be ran over by Drew.
No,
She's not about to be bullied. And
like
I
Drew
love that.
Kane, you better get out of here. Um, that's all I have in my notes.
Mhm.
Do you have any hot takes for the week? Oh my
I
goodness, I'm
want
yawning.
a day. I have one
You over here
thing.
yawning for this week. Go ahead.
I wrote, why is Dante hanging out in Lulu's house and having guests?
Yeah,
It's like
why are you over here? Just welcoming people in. Like, get out of here.
you what I mean, are you trying to live with her now? I mean, I don't get it. So I was done.
Right,
That's too soon. Yeah, that
right.
was my hot take of the other than the other things that I wrote.
I'm trying to find because my computer won't connect. So I'm trying to find my previews because I usually have them on my phone and then I can put them
Mm.
on my notes. So, okay. I have the previews for next week. Monday. Nina loses her cool. Jocelyn or Carly confides in Jocelyn. Lulu and Cody get new intel. Sasha has reason to panic. So we do know that for whatever reason, Sasha is getting subpoenaed in the Willow Michael custody situation. So she, I think, is
Hmm.
freaking out about that. Um,
Hmm.
and Curtis confronts Drew. Tuesday, the who's who of Port Charles arrives at the Nurses Ball red carpet. So the Nurses Ball red carpet hosts this year are Nina and Drew.
What?
I know. I'm like, bring back Miranda Bailey, first of all. Second of all,
Why?
ain't Drew in the middle of a scandal?
Why Drew? He is not. What? I mean, Cameron Matheson has host
Yes,
experience.
sure.
Drew does not. So it really makes no sense
I
for
do
Drew to
wonder
be.
if, because doesn't Aurora have a big part in this, in like the red carpet? I wonder if Drew gets Curtis to put him on the red carpet. We'll see.
Oh, after the
Uh,
conversation they have on Monday.
mhm. Tuesday, Lucy fields a crisis. All right, this is also Tuesday, rather. Anna gets an idea. Portia receives an offer of friendship. Alexis gets an unpleasant surprise. Wednesday, the nurses' ball performances begin. Christina is stunned. Lulu watches Lois's every move. Anna executes her plan. Jocelyn has some choice words for Willow. Oh yeah, call her a bitch.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Thursday, the nurses' ball continues and secrets explode.
Mm.
Drew is confident. Ned and Olivia issue a warning. Curtis makes a decision. Carly meets Vaughn. Vaughn, for those people who don't care about the story and are not keeping track, is Jocelyn's handler. And then Friday, the nurses' ball performances concludes and lives are forever altered. Jason gets a mysterious phone call. Mac is relieved. Trina is worried. Carly receives an offer.
And she can't refuse.
We'll see. All right, friends. Well, that is next week. Um, we will see how many people we have to be mad at next week. Uh, um, we will talk about nurses' balls. How are we going to judge these performances? Like I'm, Simon Cowell.
Okay.
Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, buy us a coffee if you so choose, and we will see you next week.
I'll be your Randy Jackson. I'll be like, that's a no for me, dog.
Bye,
No for
y'all.
me, dog.